Welcome one and all to my monthly update. Hey Book Dragons, it is that time again. We're going to talk about all of my accomplishments in March, and we're going to talk about what I might accomplish in April. Before we do, please make sure to like and subscribe. Check out my Discord. Check out my Patreon as well if you want to support me there. That'd be super cool. Editing Chaz here, because filming Chaz forgot to do the quarterly patron pick. So here is the quarterly patron pick, and I have to say, filming Chaz, you need to get on top of things, man. You make me do all the work. I'm getting a little tired of it. Okay, so here is the spinning wheel, and we will see which one of my patrons gets to pick my book for the quarter. Here we go. All right, it is Kaiju K. So glad that you won this round. I will be reaching out to you to see what book you picked for me, or you can reach out to me whichever one of us gets to it first. Now we can actually get to the video and have fun, guys. And let's go ahead and get to it. March was a really, really successful month for me. I got 6 books read. Which is great. I had only technically planned to read 5 books, although I left open some room for an elective if I found an elective that I could fit in by the end of the month. And so that worked out really well, and we're going to talk about it, starting with the Dresden Files short story collections. I read Side Jobs and Briefcases in March. And those were a lot of fun. I did some immersive reading, although not all of it was immersive, with audiobooks, I mean. Only because James Marsters did not narrate all of the stories. So I kind of focused on the ones that he did narrate and just read the others by themselves without the audio backup. And I had a great time reading these books. Some of the stories are better than others, obviously, but I thought they were all really well. Jim Butcher is really good at writing short fiction, I think. There's not very many authors that are really good at writing both long fiction and short fiction, but he's quite adept at it. And some of my favorite stories in the books were the short stories involving Bigfoot in Briefcases. I thought that was a lot of fun. You know, it's a Dresden Files book about a wizard who's also a detective, so you kind of got to imagine that at some point he's going to encounter Bigfoot. So that was a lot of fun. And there's a lot of other great stories in there as well. I didn't count this on Goodreads because I didn't know exactly how to count it, but I also read some of the microfiction on Jim Butcher's website. So just really short stories that fall into the Dresden Files universe. And that was a lot of fun. One of them even involves Mr. the cat. And that was great. I thought it was so much fun. I also read By the Pricking of My Thumbs. That is the 4th book in the Tommy and Tuppence series by Agatha Christie. And once again, guys, it was a winner for me. I really, really enjoyed By the Pricking of My Thumbs. I thought it was a really fun story. I love how the Tommy and Tuppence series follows them as they age. So in By the Pricking of My Thumbs, Tommy and Tuppence are well into middle age, if not approaching like mid-50s, maybe closer to 60. I'm not exactly sure, but they're getting upward in years, and they're still having fun adventures together, and I absolutely love it. I also read The Way of Edan. That is the first book in the Edan trilogy by Philip Chase. It is a self-published fantasy, and it blends a lot of great stuff from classic fantasy and modern fantasy, and I couldn't be happier. I just absolutely loved the book. I will be doing a review of it here at some point so that you can get a feel for what to expect with the book, but just know it was a fantastic read. And I'm very impressed with his first entry in the series, his debut novel. Really, really good. I also read another debut novel, self published fantasy novel, and that is A Touch of Fate by Lygia DeWitt. And that book was given to me in exchange for an honest review, and I did do that. I have a review up for it if you want to check it out. I will leave a link in the cards at the end and in the description below. And it was a lot of fun, guys. I definitely think it's worth reading, and I'm curious to see where she goes with the series. Now, that was all I really thought I was going to get read in the month of March. But I got some surprise book mail from my good friend Alyssa over at Into the Heartwild. She sent me Odd and the Frost Giants by Neil Gaiman. This is one of the few books that I have not read from Neil Gaiman, and it is a YA fiction, very, very short little book. I read it in a couple of hours. As soon as I got it, as soon as I opened the package, I read the book and I loved it. I knew I would love it. And so that was book number 6 in March. So I'm so happy that I finally got a hold of this. It's been on my wish list for a while. So there we go. And just as a side note, if you're ever thinking of stuff to get me, my wish list is in the description below. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But thank you for this, Alyssa. I had so much fun reading it. And I'm going to set that right down here for now. So now let's talk about what I watched in March. And I had a lot of great shows in March, one of which was The Last of Us. My daughter and I watched The Last of Us together, and I was really, really impressed. It was a very, very good show. Now, I have not played the video game, so I went into it blind. I mean, I kind of knew it had to do with zombies, but I didn't know much beyond that, and I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was a lot of fun and well put together, and I'm excited to see what they do with Season 2. I also watched Carnival Row Season 2. Actually, it's the final season, which I'm kind of bummed about, but it was a complete story, and I'm so glad I watched it. I may try to do a review of Carnival Row Season 2. I did do a review of Season 1 2 or 3 years ago. Wow, has it been that long? Yeah, when COVID hit, that threw off the production of it and everything, so I did a review for Season 1, so if you'd like to see me do a review for Season 2, let me know in the comments below, and I may just do that. It's a fantastic show, though. If you have not watched Carnival Row, you are really missing out. It's a really great gothic, Victorian, steampunk fantasy mashup. It pits humans against the Fae, trying to learn to live together in the world, and it's just really, really great storytelling. And it's an original story from what I understand. It wasn't really based on anything, which is even better, and they pulled it off magnificently. So, highly recommend Carnival Row. I also watched Shadow and Bone Season 2. And guys, I tell you, that is one of the best shows on Netflix. And I like other shows on Netflix too, like The Witcher and The Sandman and stuff like that. But I tell you guys, Shadow and Bone is absolutely brilliant. Now, I don't know much about the background story other than the fact that I read the first book in the Grishaverse spin-off series, which is called Six of Crows. I have not read the Grishaverse. I have not read the second book in the Six of Crows duology, so I don't know much about it, but I absolutely love the show. And having only read Six of Crows, they absolutely nailed Kaz Brekker. Out of every other character in the show, he absolutely steals the show every single time. So I love it. You guys should check it out. Do it. Make it happen. You'll love it. At least I think you will. That's my personal opinion. And then the last show that I wanted to talk about is Kaleidoscope. This is a heist show that is kind of one of those watch it any way you want shows. You can start wherever in the series and you can watch it pretty much in any order, but there are some recommended watching orders out there. Giancarlo Esposito is one of the main characters in the show, and he's a fantastic actor. But we started that show when my son was home for spring break, and we never got it finished before he had to go back. So we're holding off to finish it until he's home again. So hopefully we won't forget a whole lot of what happened. So that was all that I watched in March, and I had an absolute blast. Chaz and Friends. Let's talk about that. My guest for Chaz and Friends in March was Mason from Mason in the Dark. If you have not watched that episode, guys, you are sorely missing out. Mason is an amazing person, an amazing booktuber, an amazing writer as well. He's got this ongoing series that he's writing called The Bleeding Ground that he's made for free on his channel. You can check it out and listen to it. Good stuff, guys. Really good stuff. So, highly recommend. Please check out that video and find out more about Mason. Subscribe to his channel. All that good stuff. I will have more Chaz and Friends coming up in April, so stay tuned for that. I also played some new games, and just two of them actually. One is called Roll For It, and it is a dice rolling game basically, and you roll the dice, and there's cards laid out on the table, and you have to win those cards by the numbers that you roll on the dice, and you can use the dice that you rolled to bid on certain cards over the course of the game, and then you get points with those cards. And the object of the game is to win 40 points. And it was a lot of fun. It's a really quick game, which is cool. And it's easy to learn. It's super easy to learn. So I really enjoyed playing Roll For It. And I also played the game of Real Life. So if you're familiar with the game of life, there is a takeoff on that game called the game of Real Life. And it's a lot of fun. It's definitely all about things that could happen to you in real life. So, at the beginning of the game, you kind of roll for your character, kind of similar to D&D. You roll to see whether you're a male or a female. You roll for how much money you're going to start off with, whether you're poor or middle class or rich, things like that. And then throughout the course of the game, depending on the roll of the dice, you might end up going to jail. You might end up dealing drugs. You might end up pregnant. You might end up being a single parent. All of these things that can and do happen to people in real life is what you experience in this game. And it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of laughs. Some of it's extreme, right? Not everybody experiences those things, but it's an interesting concept for a game, and I thought it was quite fun. That's all that I did in March. We're going to talk now about what I plan to do for April. And we're going to start with Secret Project number 2. That is the second of Brandon Sanderson's secret projects that he wrote during the pandemic. And of course, I don't know the name for it yet, but I'm looking forward to getting it and reading it, and I'm curious to see what it's like, because I understand this is the only secret project that is not a Cosmere book. So I guess we'll see. I've read one other non-Cosmere book of his, and I was pleased with it. So I'm curious to see what he does with this one. I remember him talking a little bit about the premise back when he originally announced it, but I don't remember much. So I'm kind of going in blind, and I'm okay with that. I'm also going to read Peace Talks and Battleground. Those are the final 2 books to bring me up to date in the Dresden Files. Oh, and I'm also going to read The Law, which is a novella that follows those two books. Peace Talks and Battleground make up one story, but his publisher asked him to split it into two books. So that's effectively what they did. And I'm so excited, guys. I am finally going to be all caught up in the Dresden Files world. And so far, I have been so pleased with how the story has progressed. And I can't wait to hear how it ends. Well, not ends, but I can't wait to see where it finishes off up to this point. So I will be reading those two books, and then I'll be reading The Law as soon as I'm finished with those. I may also be reading Abaddon's Gate, which is book 3 in the Expanse series. I've been slowly buddy reading this with my friend Carl from Geek on My Sleeve, so I may be picking that up in April as well. That's kind of what we're looking at. And then if I have any other openings after all of those are done, I may read some other books. I don't know. I have plenty of books that I can pick up as electives, whatever suits my mood. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how my mood strikes me. That is all I'm going to read in April, and then I am also going to be watching some shows in April. And really all I've got left right now is some shows that I've started with my daughter. She and I started watching the Poirot miniseries on BritBox, which follows Agatha Christie's character Hercule Poirot. So I'm really excited to continue watching that. We watched the first episode the other night and absolutely loved it. We also started watching my favorite Sherlock Holmes, which is also on BritBox, and that is Jeremy Brett. So we started watching the Granada television production of Sherlock Holmes, and I'm so excited to be introducing this particular Sherlock Holmes to my daughter. She's a huge fan of mysteries like I am, and so I'm really excited that we're starting to watch both of these shows together. So that's all I'm planning to watch in April, although there may be some other shows. I've been wanting to watch Andor on Disney Plus, part of the Star Wars universe, so I may end up putting that on and seeing what it's like. I've heard really, really good things about it, so and I still need to watch season 3 of The Mandalorian, so I don't know if we're going to start that yet or if we're going to hold off. So lots of fun stuff to come. I'm excited about April. Let me know in the comments, what did you think about all that I did in March and what I've got planned for April? What do you have planned for April, and how did your March go? Make sure to hit me up on Discord as well. We can talk more in depth about any or all of these on Discord, so please make sure you check that out. I'm going to go ahead and sign off there. Make sure you guys read more books. I'll talk with you soon.